Welcome back to Shine On You. We are in season 2, episode 3. Ooh. What's up? How you doing?
I'm good. You look lovely.
Yeah.
I like this all-American vibe you got going on.
Well, it was a combined effort.
But we didn't even try. We just nailed it.
As usual.
As usual.
Yes. I like that you inform me what you're going to wear so that I don't come in and throw off the costume. Yeah, exactly.
But
so I do
don't
appreciate
even
that.
need to inform you because you're already picking up on it.
I do tune in. I do. And usually it's black, white, or denim because I figure that's safe. But one day I might get crazy and throw in a pop of color, and then we'll see what happens.
We might, I think I just should have an extra change of clothes in the car just in case we got to swap it out real quick.
Might have to.
Yeah,
for sure. Or I'll just be slowly progressing into my black athleisure wear.
Little Lululemon sweater.
I know.
Well,
it could happen.
You also have your birthday glow.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that. Yeah, that was that almost... Oh, that was... Well, I'm losing track of time. This has been a very fast and furious stretch. Halloween, my birthday,
yes,
daylight savings, election.
We have go there. Second summer here.
We have second summer. It's humid and hot.
It's very hot.
Yeah.
We're so hot.
Yeah, we were no sweaters today.
We did. I was like, should I just do it for the studio? And I'm like, I don't even think I can manage that.
No.
To just portray fall to y'all, but
it doesn't matter. This is timeless. There's no time going on here.
So yeah, time warp.
For sure. So I wanted to ask you, I was curious. I often have these thoughts, these curiosities. So this time of year, we have more darkness, more yin time of the year. I experience this distinctly. Okay. How does this time of year, my friend, affect you, or does it not? Do you adjust? Do you make any conscious changes to your life, your schedule? I'm curious.
I mean, you're specifically talking about with our shift in light because of our shift in time.
Yes.
So our international listeners will have no idea what we're talking about.
This is true. This is daylight savings talk where someone somewhere made a decision.
Let's just do this.
Half the country turns back their clock by an hour?
Spring forward and fall back. Yeah.
So we're in a fall back.
We're in a fall.
For sure. Free fall.
In astrology, that's a super negative term. That's when something's extremely out of alignment. It's in its fall. Ooh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But okay, to answer your question, I feel like around this time of the year, I just start, like you pointed it out, I just get really, really social and I get really involved in my community, and the time is an illusion for me. I will stay out later. Somehow I'm getting less sleep. I don't know.
You're an enigma to me. And this is why I knew to ask this question, because it gives a very nice contrast.
Right, because I feel like you've been plotting this out.
Listen, here's the reality of the situation, okay? And this could be... I will say this could be different phases of life too, but I pretty much have the goal of being horizontal flat for about 12 hours every day at this time of year. I may not be unconscious, but I'm definitely lying flat. Okay. As soon as the sun goes down,
it's done. We're done.
I mean, we're wrapping it up.
I mean, you've requested your post-birthday celebration to be done early, and we're going to make that happen for you.
I appreciate that.
Early on in the day where the sun is still shining. So
you don't feel the need for more rest?
I mean...
It sounds like no. It sounds like the opposite. It sounds like you actually get energized.
I do. And I think these seasons affect everyone differently. So what's so cool about us is we're in totally different parts of the wheel. I mean, I'm a Gemini. My birthday's in May. My soul birthday in human design, you have 2 birthdays. Another reason to check out human design. So my soul birthday is, in February.
3 months before, right?
3 months before your physical birth, approximately, give or take. And so that gives me like a Pisces. So when I enter into that birth portal, which is what we call it, in between your 2 birthdays, it shifts. Everything shifts. So, by time my physical birthday comes, I need rest. Like I've pushed really hard usually.
Okay. So in spring. All right.
You come. So
I'm the opposite.
Right. So you probably like come alive.
Yeah. I feel much more energized that time of year.
Well, you've been working so hard in between your birth portal.
Yeah.
Like that.
That could be it. So it's not just the darkness.
But it's probably adding to it.
Yes, it is, for sure.
Yeah. And if people want to know their birthdays, I love Genetic Matrix.
Yeah.
It's a great website. You don't have to upgrade to the professional to be able to get that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I'm like definitely, I love this time of year, even though I'm sleepier and even more static than usual. I do love going inward. I love it. I love it so much. I just like give me comfort and darkness. And like, I don't even turn on lights in my house very much.
Yeah.
Low lighting.
Yeah.
In
Candles.
my bedroom. Okay, this is a little biohacker thing, but it really does help. Is I took out the normal light bulb and put in the red light bulbs.
Ooh.
Because it emits I forget what the name is of it, but it emits that red glow, which is much more, it's less disruptive to like your melatonin in your brain, and it helps to get you ready for bed. Now, I'm not saying I don't go on screens because that would be a lie. I do, but I also, have the little red light glow going on.
Did your husband like come home from one of his trips and was like, "What's up with the red light room?"
He's like, "Do we have a brothel in here? What's going on?" That's what my neighbors probably think because they see the red glow through the blinds.
I leave for 1 week and you've started.
I don't think much surprises him anymore. We've been at this a really long time. I don't think much surprises him anymore, and he just kind of rolls with it.
I think you just keep it spicy. He's
I mean,
sure, red light room. Yes.
Sounds good. Yep. Yeah.
I bet he wants to.
I mean, he doesn't. Yeah. Well, clearly, but he doesn't. Yeah, he's not jumping on the bandwagon. Like he's not going in and getting a red light for himself. But he's like, "Oh, this is what we're doing."
I would like to go in there.
I understand.
What happens in that room?
What happens?
I'm just curious.
It is really nice, though.
Oh,
it is because it just definitely like creates a nice little ambiance. Yeah.
I'm a big low light person.
Yeah.
Lamp or
candles. I know. Salt lamps are another good option because they do put that nice orangey glow in the room. I know. But I am so excited. I don't necessarily get more energized, but I get excited this time of year. I also do like the preparation of, okay, here's the thing. You mentioned my birthday.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fanfare person when it comes to, we're not surprised, but not when it comes to like having the birthday and like what'd you do and all that. Like, no, that feels very much like pressure to me. I don't want to get into it.
No.
Let's just keep it simple. Like,
yeah.
I'm good.
You were really low key. It was on a Monday too this year.
For sure.
So it's kind of like.
For sure. So and then I also get like this anticipation for, we go out of town the week of Thanksgiving and it's a mountain getaway.
Nice.
Yes. And so it's like the perfect contrast to the being, and gratefully, I love living at sea level, but I'm really excited to come back.
Yeah.
To the sea level.
Well, and you get a break from your routine, like we talked about last time, and then you get to kind of re-immerse into it.
Yeah. I'm not doing much at the mountains. I'm not like planning, a lot of activity, but just to have that time to be creative and inward and be in the different environment. So so that's going on, and I'm really looking forward to that. But then, and also the holidays get a little, I like the preparation more than the actual living it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Like it's fun to get, nostalgic and kind of have things situated in a certain way. I do love that.
And there is a certain energy and mood.
Coziness. Love the cozy.
Family coming together.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I love my family, but that's like, there's a certain expiration on that being energizing.
I mean, ultimately, you're still a Cancer rising. That's the need for home, family, tradition.
Oh, for sure.
But then you're like, also, my 12-hour horizontal. Not vertical.
No,
opposite of
definitely
vertical.
not.
Layer down. London Bridge is going down. Speaking of London, I have a trip coming up. Yeah. I've been really immersed in the Gene Keys, which I spoke about
Yep.
in our first episode together. And got to see Richard, the founder of Gene Keys in Colorado. Amazing. It was beautiful. So I'm going to go see and learn from him again in another 2-day immersion in London. And I was looking at the calendar. It's been 5 years since I've been to London, which maybe to some people are like, I've been to London one time in my entire life. So maybe this sounds a little bit like, okay, but it's such a special place to me.
Yeah.
When I went there, just felt like a little piece of my soul there. So to have waited that long to return
Really?
feels like, yeah. Oh yeah, I love
Yeah.
it there.
I wonder what your astro geography lines are there. Do you know?
I know that my moon line kind of cuts through part of Europe. So the sisterhood I get there, the intuition I have heightened there. Also, I don't experience my moon line anywhere here. So it just feels fresh.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yes. And in fact, we do share a synchronicity with the last trip that you had there. Am I correct that was your... Okay, so here's the deal. We didn't know when we met, and even thereafter for a while, that we actually shared the same human design training back in November of 2019.
That's right.
Is that when you were in London?
That's right. Yeah. Yep, I stayed there about a week. That's right.
And I was learning virtually. I did not go to London. I would love to. I have not been to London or England. But yeah, we share that in common, which is kind of a fun little synchronicity. I mean, there's 1,000 trainings out there for these things, but back then, I don't know that was as much.
I mean, it was right before the world kind of shut down,
Yep.
2019, end of 2019. And it was her first in-person session or training. And she decided, I'm going to do it live stream. And hundreds, I think, maybe, I don't know if it got into the thousands. She has a huge following and an amazing app. But it was awesome doing it in person. It was a great excuse for me. It was my first time going to Europe. So I was like, oh, heck yeah. And all the signs were there, all the synchronicities. I had met a few friends that were astrology clients of mine that lived out there. So we ended up linking up, and that was super cool.
That's so fun.
Like meeting in person.
Well, I'm vicariously going to live through you, as I do. As you travel the world.
You're like, go forth.
Living your Sagittarius, your midheaven and North Node.
Sagittarius all day.
Very sagacious.
Renee,
you are.
Renee texted me and was like, are you traveling in November? And I was like, yeah, I'll be in London for a week, end of November.
Casual.
I'm going to go study.
Casual.
Tell me I'm a Sagittarius North Node without telling me.
Exactly. And I knew there is travel on the horizon usually, which is what prompted the question.
Where are you going now?
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Let me get ahead of scheduling because I'm thinking ahead.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that too. And we're going to talk about human design today. We are going to talk about authority. One of the most fundamental things to know about your human design is, aside from your energy type, is your authority. So we're gonna get into it and share, why that is beneficial and how to utilize that. And I love the topic of. I love that human design also has these kind of easy chunks to it that you can sort of
Me too.
build upon.
Yes.
And layer into. So let's talk about authority. You want to?
Yeah. I think it's beautiful how you opened that. I was thinking today, an analogy popped into my mind of when someone's learning how to drive a car, there's all these different technicalities of it starts to get really in depth. You use a turn signal and you got to use your mirrors and, there's all these elements layered on, but at its foundation, you need to understand where the gas pedal and the brake pedal is.
For sure.
So that's our type and authority.
Oh, I like that.
If you and I know we kind of skipped steps, but that's very Manny Jen because we talked about profiles.
We're flowing.
We talked about profiles last episode, that's more of the turn signal. That's how to work your windshield wipers, all that. But if you don't understand how to make the car go and make the car stop, forget about the profile. Forget about gates, forget about channels, synastry, all of that. You need to understand who you are, which is the type, and then how to make decisions, which is your authority. So I love to harp on this, and our teacher did too. She really emphasized how important it is to understand your authority and then also decondition any part of you that keeps you from knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
So deconditioning maybe parents who raised you that had a different authority than you.
Definitely.
And typically what we do when we're guiding someone, we're like,
do what I did.
that's right.
Do what I do.
That's right. Because that feels good for me to give that to you. And you're like,
that doesn't work for me. Yeah.
no. And gosh, we always talk about this. Like, what if children, or parents, when in the hospital, like have the baby and they're like, hey, by the way,
this is what you're working with.
you've got like, you've got an ego projector. Good luck.
Different.
This is how you're going to work that 1%er.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So what do you want to do? You want to talk about, you want me to kind of flow through each authority? Do you think that'd be fun?
Well, I think let's just back up for a second and
Let's
say,
just take a break.
not a total break, but let's just say, because we did talk about profiles last time, and the very fundamental thing, if this is brand new information, is to know your energy type, which we haven't really gone into because it's talked about more commonly, I think, than anything else. But as you were saying, Genetic Matrix is a good site to go to look up your energy type. Do we want to just do a quick overview of the types?
I think that'd be helpful.
Because I think it might be helpful.
I think also know that you're going to need your birth information to do all this.
That's correct. Yeah.
Birth time needs to be precise. So there, in my opinion, there's 5 types.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't like it when they lump together the personal preference, the mani-gens and the generators, right?
Yeah. And let's start there. So the energy beings are the generators and the manifesting generators. Traditional human design, they lump them together because they're both energy beings, which I get, but also, wow, they're way different.
Right.
So those energy creatures, they make up the majority of the population. So the other 3 types are minorities and, decreasing in percentage from most to least. It's the projector, the manifester, and the reflector. And
right.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at your chart, the thing that makes you a generator or a manifesting generator is you're going to see some shapes on your chart. It's really helpful to find someone that can walk you through your chart first, like one-on-one, although there's a wealth of information out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do human design readings.
I do. Call me.
Call her.
We put my number on the bottom of the screen. Put that in there.
Call now.
Quick. Hurry. Use this code for a promo discount.
Right.
Just kidding.
Get in now.
Yeah, get in now.
Before it's too late. No.
Gift with purchase.
Wow, there's a gift.
Smiles.
You are the gift.
Oh.
I would say that you may not know what you're looking at, and that's okay and normal. At first, there is a specific shape in that chart that is colored in or defined, as they say, that makes you a generator or a manifesting generator, whereas the other 3 types do not have that shape colored in, and that shape has to do with life force energy. It's a battery that keeps on kicking.
We're like, less light, let's do more.
Yes,
why not?
yes.
Let's defy gravity.
Right.
Yeah.
All in all the time. I mean, of course there's caveats, but
Of course.
generally
But we're not
speaking,
talking about those.
Generally speaking, the majority of society has this.
That's right. I mean,
Yeah.
approximately, give or take, 33% of the population are generators, 33-ish percent of or it's more closer to 31% of the population are manifesting generators. So you combine that together and we've got over 60%.
We've got a lot of energy going on.
Which we
as makes sense.
Yeah.
Because everybody's playing, and there's no type is better than another. Everybody's playing their own contributing role. I'm like, what?
I was like, except for Manny Jens.
You guys can be a lot, but you know what? We love you.
We can be a lot.
We love you. You help us, propel us.
Every time I have a session with another manifesting generator, I'm like, listen, we're the best. And they're like, I knew it.
I know. Yeah. They're like, I like that.
Yeah, they do.
Tell me more.
I win them over. I capture that attention that can be like butterflying everywhere. So funny.
So the energy type is the first building block, the first thing to learn when you're driving your human design car.
That's right.
You can go into that. You can go into each section deeply, but speaking to authority, I do think authority is very valuable because it helps us to make decisions in the way that we are uniquely designed to make
That's
decisions. And none of us are designed to make decisions from a mental mind thinking like space. We all have some guidance system within us that helps us to really find highest alignment when making decisions. And how many are there? How many authorities?
There's 7.
7.
Yep. And it's your internal compass. And as you look at this and learn this, and same with the type, it's a reminder. It's all just a reminder of what you know, and you'll feel the resonance.
The topic of authority that the reason I'm excited to share the topic of authority is because I think that this is one of the areas of human design that helps us to release self-doubt when we learn to trust our authority, and it releases the pressure, like you were saying, about how other people necessarily approach decisions or, how they encounter life. So I think it's really one of the most useful things to understand. And when you start to experiment with it, I think it definitely, it feels to me, and I do have one of the rare authorities, feels really fulfilling. I'll speak to, you want me to speak to my authority first?
Do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I am a self-projected projector, which is also referred to, like you saw, as a voice authority.
2.5% of the population.
Okay. So rare. For sure. And, I didn't know this information until, I don't know, what was that, 5 years ago when I started studying this. And you see a lot of information about it that talks about having to talk things out, hence the name of it. And that's how I can understand direction with making decisions, is using my voice. So it is interesting because
we're here.
Yes, I do feel very fulfilled when I use my voice. Yeah. And often, it's not necessarily, I've heard different suggestions like taking voice notes and listening to yourself back, because it's not even necessarily the other person in the conversation. That's actually not that helpful. When the other person is offering advice, it's just me being able to hear the sound of my voice. And it sounds kind of like obscure, but it is really, when you start to experiment and embody it, it really does make a difference to hear myself talk out a problem or looking for a potential solution. The actual tone of my voice will be very different if I am on the right track, or it will be an indicator that I am not feeling something as much as I'm trying to maybe convince myself I am.
Yes, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I think it also, it definitely, like I said, it definitely feels fulfilling. Now, some of the other authorities that we can speak to that have, like, for example, the splenic authority, or what is that referred to?
And I love
as?
that they call it as instincts.
Instincts.
9% of the population have a splenic authority.
9%.
And it's super spontaneous.
Remind me, is it projectors that have, so only projectors have self-projected, I think.
Gosh.
I know. I stumped you.
You did.
All right. Well,
because I feel like a manifester, I think needs a motor, but the throat.
We'll have to get to the bottom of that. I'm pretty sure
You stumped me.
my instinct says that it's projectors that have it only.
Yes, you're right. It says it in my book.
Right there.
That's great. Yeah, it says only projectors, manifestors can only be emotional, splenic, or ego.
Okay.
Yeah, which we're going to get into that. But
so projectors have the ability, have 5 different choices of this.
They do.
This book has a little handy chart in it.
It does, which is actually extremely handy because
Show the
I'm gonna see the
show the people the book. No, the front
okay,
of the book.
and
There it is. There it is. Oh, you gotta lift it up.
We aren't sponsored by this.
No, but it is a very helpful book. I like the diagram on the inside when it comes to especially what I'm seeing about authority.
Graphic.
Yes.
Colorful.
Very helpful.
Very helpful.
Very helpful.
Very informative.
What?
Very knowledgeable.
What? Don't make me lose my train of thought.
Okay.
So what I was going to say about splenic,
Yes.
which is also known as instinct.
Yes.
I think it can be sometimes like, well, I have instincts and I have intuition. Like I have that. And not to say you don't, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not it. It's just using your particular authority can really, like I said, it just offers another level of fulfillment when it comes to moving through decision making. So I believe the largest population or percentage that is a sacral authority. Am I right on that?
It's so the emotional is actually like 53% of the population. So solar plexus defined.
Which is another shape in your chart.
That's right. And if the emotional authority, any of the types except for the reflectors can have this. So generator, mani-gen, projector, or manifester, they have the potential to be an emotional authority.
God knew that I was not patient enough to have an emotional authority.
Oh my God.
Because you have,
that's right.
It's about waiting.
It is.
To feel your emotional wave all the way through.
All the way through.
Which you can speak to because that's your authority.
It's true. I think the key, if you have this authority, is giving yourself permission to take time to process. And what you're processing is the vast sort of well of emotions.
Okay. Yeah, and I have been very close to a few emotional authorities in my life. Actually, no one in my house is an emotional authority, but I
probably
do.
Good.
Yeah, probably good. I do have a lot of friends, people in my world that are an emotional authority, and it's very interesting to observe.
What do you feel when you're around an emotional being?
Well, that's interesting because I do feel a lot because I actually don't have anything going on in that emotional center.
From
so
like
I
here
take
down.
It all in, almost like, is it mine? I don't know. And that can be what I experience is I will feel very, strongly or just triggered or something will come up for me that I'm catching that's like, not mine.
Right. And just being in their proximity, or is it when they begin communicating or expressing something that you really start getting the hit of it?
When they're expressing something.
Sure.
Like when they're emotional about something, I feel it.
Wow.
I feel it very deeply.
Oh yeah.
And I feel this is where you get into like and I think this could be a whole other deep dive, but when you don't have an emotional authority, which is 50% of the pop, or around that, 50%.
Yeah.
You may not realize that what you're feeling is actually not yours to begin with.
This is such a good point, Renee.
We could really talk about this
I think
in particular because most people don't know this, that they may be experiencing what other people are feeling and being confused as if it is your own feeling.
And what's worse, in my opinion, is they then go trying to fix it.
Right. That was where I was going because I don't know if there's a correlation, but I'm going to venture to say that if you are a open emotional solar plexus, you might be a little bit of an over-functioning codependent.
You heard it here first.
You might be trying to help because you feel it and it's uncomfortable and you want to do things or say things that will help your emotional friend move through their wave quicker because you don't want to be uncomfortable anymore.
That's right. That's right. And honestly, we love you. Thank you. On behalf of all the emotionals. No, we need that space. You know, we need partnership where we can feel especially I think emotional beings that have done a lot of, that have increased their EQ, you know, their emotional intelligence. They operate at a pretty high functioning spectrum. And when we have our lows, which all emotional beings do, we typically have tools that are kind to us and others to process through them, aka me go skating in a trail that moves through the woods. Not necessarily calling my friend who I know
And dump or, yeah.
and dump. And then I'm kind of just, I know on some level I'm just giving some of my emotions away. And then she has to go deal with that. And I don't often feel like I really honored it.
Yeah.
So I do think emotional beings, this is again, totally just my experience and what I've witnessed with clients, really need to learn and develop tools to help them navigate melancholy first off, highs and lows. Yeah.
Now, I think this is interesting because in observing in particular you, and I will say that there is to your point, a distinction of emotional authority that is self-aware and knows, okay, this is mine and it's on me to deal with this, as opposed to perhaps those, whatever percentage it may be in the population out there walking around with us that don't have any awareness that they are on this emotional wave, which is a high and a low, and they are perhaps projecting that
onto everyone
and everything. So thank you for your service.
Honored.
Thank you for doing some internal work, because from my observation of you, I don't know when you're in a low. It's not like an obvious.
Which says a lot because you're a projector.
Well, I think
you're like literally here to be like, I see you.
I mean, maybe a little here and there, but I mean, I don't see big swings with you.
Yeah, I think
of like a very, wide range.
Yeah. I had a lot more of them in my childhood. And it's actually been really cool to revisit because I have you can start getting into the specifics of emotional waves, which I would highly encourage if you're an emotional being. But one, going up to the throat, which was where a lot of rage and anger came from when I was a kid. And most of it went out to my brother.
Yeah.
Love you. Thanks for dealing with me. But what was cool was our core family dynamic, we were all emotional beings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think there was, there was this feeling in the collective of the home that emotions happen. Everyone's kind of on their own wave, but like we stick it out, we stay together, it was kind of good conditioning for me to grow up in. Especially my mom being a generator. I'm a manifesting generator. We have that energy. So getting into your family dynamics will be really helpful as you decondition and remember your authority and where you might have been told that's not right.
Right. Right. And also with children, I think about that have an emotional wave, how, depending on the caretaker or how the messaging is conveyed when they are feeling a big feeling or needing to process how that's handled can be so forming to their experience. So I think the emotional authority, knowing if you're an emotional authority, is probably one of the most important things to know about your human design, because it really does. Well, I'm sure it's somewhat of a relief to know this about yourself.
Yeah. Nearly. And the one little caveat I'll give is that traditional human design will say if you don't have your emotional center defined, so if it's open, if you're any of these other 6 authorities, that you're a non-emotional. That's the common term.
Right.
And when I have a client sit down and if I catch myself saying that, they're like, whoa, I'm actually extremely emotional. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because you feel everyone else's shit. But if you were to be on your own in the mountains, let's say, somewhere really peaceful, no technology for 2 days, no animals, nothing stimulating you, no people, just you being, you would be
Yes.
right here.
Absolutely.
And then someone calls and you're like, woo, you know, that's like really gets you excited, one of your best friends. And then all of a sudden you're on a high. That's not all of a sudden.
Right.
That's chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So I really recommend also anyone that's a non-emotional, what we call it. So any other authority other than emotional, do that. See if you can have a little 1-2 day solo retreat, no technology, anything that gives you a feeling. Like that gives you stimulation. When we scroll on Instagram, you know, I noticed a lot of non-emotional scrolling to like feel something. Yeah. Because they think they need to.
Right. That is really, okay. You just gave me a whole lot to think about because I do feel, I don't know what the word is. It's a bit of a void.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Like a hole.
I'm not looking for drama. I'm not like, you know, like, oh, what fight can I get into or what can
Definitely
like
not.
no, not at all. Like in fact,
Opposite.
non-confrontational to the core. But yeah, it's like I feel like if I don't engage, whether this scrolling is a perfect example. It's like I'm kind of like, am I going to miss something?
Yeah.
Am I going to not be getting ahead of something that I can then anticipate? It's an interesting thought. I think that just like you said, knowing that the distinction between the two,
Yep.
knowing the specific emotional wave you have, all of that is so empowering. And also, yeah, I mean, you're taking responsibility for like, oh, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
But also the non-emotional taking responsibility too, where they're like,
That's right.
I'm just going to observe. And that is actually my approach and I am kind of like that neutral,
Yeah.
you know, sort of space where I will just allow the emotional to have their moment.
Yes.
I am feeling all of it internally,
Yes.
but I'm not reacting. I'm not like, and that has taken some work where it's like, I'm not trying to fix anything, or at least I try not to.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, okay, this
Or
is where
attach.
we're at.
Yeah. The addiction piece that I was kind of hinting at there with the scrolling,
Yeah.
which is just one of the many ways we can get a hit of feeling something. Because some people, I mean, why is one of the most popular genres of shows to watch drama? Why?
Right.
Because we want to feel.
Right.
We want to feel, even if it's bad, like even if
Right.
it's murder and mystery, and
Yep.
like we want to get in there and like, ooh, like go through that ride, and it's exciting. But I think it's I think it's important too to just, I think final thing I'll say about emotional authorities is maybe the reason I feel in alignment for you pretty consistently is I've now built a life, because I've been working with this system for so long, that are genuine yeses to me, because I've rode my emotional waves to make sure everything feels good. So I haven't lived my life like a sacral authority or a splenic authority, just saying, oh yeah, or I don't want to miss out, or let me think it through and be rational. Everything has processed through my authority. And so I built a life full of genuine yeses. And so I experienced those deep, deep lows a lot less.
I love
You know
that
what I
for
mean?
you. I do.
Thank you.
All right. Sacral.
Namaste.
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 I acknowledge that.
Yeah,
All right. So
sacral.
sacral authority, also very common, I believe.
Yep. It is 33% of the population are sacral authorities.
Right. Now tell us about.
They could be generators, manifesting generators. That's it. Those are the only two types that could be. And they are the ones that are meant to make a decision right here in the now. So if I were to say, Renee, would you like to go to lunch after this? Let's say Renee is a sacral authority. She could say, well, where? And then she could just say, well, yeah, I want to. Or no. But if she's like, let me think on it, let me get back to you,
Then that's a no. So it's a immediate knowing.
Yep.
I've also heard that there's actually like a sensation attached to this
Yes.
in the body, like in the quote
I think
unquote
I just did one.
gut feeling.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a sound Like,
like,
yeah, that sounds good.
if you're a noisy person, you're probably a sacral
I
authority.
have a funny story.
Oh, let's hear it.
I love my husband. I love that I tell his funny stories. He won't mind. This isn't that bad. But he's a sacral authority. And he literally, when he eats, he mms. And I'm like somewhat triggered by this because it's like, what? What's going on over there? You really like that, huh? But it's that sacral authority letting him know this is good. And he doesn't even know he's doing it.
No, it's so natural. It's so innate. But I love it. Like, I love how simple we can be. Like when you start hacking humans, like you start figuring out how they work. And if you want to love a sacral authority better, give them direct questions. Like, do you want to go to lunch with me? Like, do you want to get married? Like, yes, no, like there is 2 options, not like, hey,
tell me how you feel about this. Oh, no.
Like, where would you like to eat on your birthday? It's like
They'll be speechless.
and annoyed.
My son is a sacral authority too.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He likes to, he's a pretty direct
Straight-
guy.
direct.
Straight shooter.
And you know what's cool is usually people will love in the way they want to be loved. They'll ask in the way they want to be asked. So I notice my sacral peeps are real direct with me. They're like, are you coming or not? I'm like, well. And for emotionals, we're like, that I need a little more room to breathe with that. I need like a maybe wedged in there.
Right. Can I sleep on it? Can I get back to you?
Exactly.
Okay. So we have emotional, sacral we talked about. I talked about self-projected.
We got the spleen, the
and
instincts.
then the splenic is instinctual. And that is a little bit similar, I feel like, to sacral because it's just kind of a knowing.
Yep.
Right? And it's also, it's fleeting. It's quick. Like you gotta catch it. You gotta know what you're looking for, kind of. Right?
Yes. And I love that. And I would just add, for splenic authorities that I see that are really in alignment, have built up a life where they've honored their spleen, they are so fun to be around. They are so spontaneous, so playful.
Good time.
Oh, life of the party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. And then ego manifestor is, or ego man, what is it? Ego
authority.
manifestor. Yeah, ego authority. This is only projectors and manifestors, right?
Yeah.
No, only.
So the chart broke this down as ego manifested, ego projected. So yeah, manifestor or projector could be
Tell us about
ego.
how they operate with their authority.
So Heather, who we spoke about on the last episode, is an amazing healer locally in town here in Wilmington, and she is a very, very special ego manifestor. They bring this heart energy. So it speaks about it as like the willpower. I love to think about it like when they make a decision, it has to align with every single thing that they believe and value. I mean, it really is just like a heartbeat. So when they move in their world and they're in alignment, everything is just so them. It's such a unique experience. Like even when I think of Heather being such a beautiful example, her branding, her style, her tone of voice, her offerings, everything has such a beautiful, grounded, earthy presence.
True.
Earth tones, grounded voice. I mean, it's just everything's on brand. And so these people are very unique, very individualized, and they literally are here to follow their heart.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're
I
beautiful.
love that.
Yeah. And they do well with soundboarding as well, talking it out, hearing themselves talk, and having a trusted friend to say, hey, I heard you say you don't want to date anymore because you're disappointed right now. Is that how you really feel? And they can be like, did I say that? Oh, this is how I really feel. And they can kind of
massage it.
Yep.
What's left? We have they're calling it environmental authority. I don't think I know what that is off the top of my head.
Mental.
Okay.
Yeah, those are probably the one type that can get away with thinking it through.
Right.
My younger brother is a mental authority. So it's been interesting. our house, as I mentioned, full of emotionals, and then the last one to enter the family.
He's thinking about you all.
All the time.
What's
I'm
going
sure.
on with
I'm
these
sure
people?
it's just all about us. Always, no, I'm kidding. They always have very fixed opinions. They're here to think things through, as I mentioned, but to really, really just weigh the pros and cons, to make the plan, rewrite the plan. They're meant to talk about it as well, and they're meant to share their opinion, share their idea. But the reason it's so often referred to as environment is because they're so open.
Sensitive to their environment.
Very. So they become who and what they surround themselves with. I know that can be said for so many humans, but I guess just like underline and bold it for these humans.
Right.
If their space is messy, if their relationship is toxic, I mean, it will just debilitate them on some level or another just because they're so sensitive.
Yes, I've heard that there's definitely an importance, I mean, for all of us to be in a nurturing, healthy environment.
Definitely.
But
they're less resilient.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But equally, they are amazing. And this kind of starts getting us into the reflector and final authority. They're amazing at feeling a pulse of a place. So
I can see that.
they can become different versions. Like it's not always good or bad. It's like they could become extremely theatrical in a certain place, or like extremely wise. Like I've seen my brother be so many different versions. It's really fun.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Like a true chameleon.
Truly.
And then the lunar authority is our reflector friends, and reflectors don't have any or any shapes defined in their entire chart. They're very lunar beings. They are very rare. Like I think 2%
Yeah,
of the population,
one or two. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So reflectors are pretty rare to come across, and their authority is unique to them, and it is the lunar authority, and that is about waiting a full moon cycle.
That's right.
28. God knew I wasn't patient for that either. 28 days, or roughly there, like a true cycle before making an important decision. I think that's a good distinction too. We're talking mostly about big decisions here. I mean, sure, you can use these when you're talking about what restaurant to go to or what to, what to eat for lunch. But if you are, faced with something that is going to have weight to it, having the opportunity to explore this could really help you navigate it. And our lunar friends, they need a lot of time to go through the full cycle of how they feel.
Yep.
How they feel or how they... Is it a feel?
It's, I mean, I guess that's what the word we're using, but it's kind of they're meant to
knowing.
Yeah. And to wear it, like mirror it back to themselves. Like, does this job suit me? Can I see myself in this job? And maybe noticing like how they would have to dress to play that role in that job. I've had many clients that are not many, actually, that's not true. I've had a few that are reflectors, and we often are talking about their relationships because, they usually are with people who have narcissistic tendencies. Yeah. Now, of course, this is all shadow stuff I'm speaking about, but it's something for reflectors to be very aware of. And I said this, the mental is sort of like going into reflector territory. Because they're so open, you become who you're around. So oftentimes reflectors will attract people that really just want to see themselves mirrored back to them.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I can see that.
Or that they feel they could easily sort of control and manipulate. And so I think the more reflector, and I had an amazing reflector in my last cacao training. She was so anchored and rooted and solid in who she was, that I could just tell she had found the strength in her openness, which is the potential to be, I would say, the most intuitive of all.
I was going to say the moon intuition makes sense, that this is like maybe
like a
not
channel.
A feeling. It's like, it's like a channel, like a knowing, an intuitive knowing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any other points about authority that you think our listeners would benefit from knowing?
I think one thing that was helpful, this just popped in, was looking at different celebrities or artists.
So interesting.
Yeah, that have your same authority might be really helpful.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's such a wealth
And your
of that
type.
information out there these days.
There
Lots
is.
of different accounts and things like that
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that go into those deep dives on, celebrity charts and so forth.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's kind of nice to see someone that's so public, or like Sandra Bullock is a reflector. Mm-hmm. So you've gotten to see all the different roles she's played have been so distinctly different.
Yeah. And some of her relationships too.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that was hopefully an insightful conversation to hear on authority. And if you know your authority, or if you're curious to know your authority, definitely let us know. Christina can definitely walk you through the more well beyond that. But it is one of the parts of the human design chart that can really serve you in knowing, and also help you to, operate from your most authentic place and kind of tune out the noise maybe of what someone else is doing or how they're operating, and really focus in on, okay, this is what is aligned for me. Because there's no shortage of everything people telling you to do. And even, when you get into human design and tools like this, sometimes there's like these, I don't want to say rules, but there's sort of guidelines.
Yeah.
But you hear, people all the time that are like, this is what I eat for breakfast. And I think they're coming from a place of trying to help. But you have so much innate knowing and power within you.
Yes.
And what this does is help you to move closer to yourself.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. And what a wonderful world it is and will continue to be, where everyone is in their truth, in their power,
Yes.
in
Individual.
and bringing like everything that we shared. I hope we took a moment to at least highlight the beauty of each authority and the gift that it brings to the collective. So remember your gift, hone it, work it, and bring it.
Work it. Thank you so much for listening to us, for taking the time to tune in and to give us your attention. I hope this information is serving you. And let us know how this lands for you. Leave us a comment if you are watching on YouTube, or you can find us over on Instagram. We're posting right now. Well, we're co-posting on both of our socials. So mine is Vibe with Intuition, and
The Blonde Priestess.
The Blonde Priestess. And we'll see you back here in a couple weeks.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Thank you.